Hello and welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Fara Sax. Today's episode is sponsored by Floridian Furniture for all your home furnishing needs, located north of Coral Gables. Give them a call. They'll fix you up. Tell them Fara sent you. Ask for Benny. Today, I'm joined by Regina Zelonker. She is a family law attorney and mediator. We're going to learn more about that. She is a homegrown girl from Miami.
I am.
Welcome. She went to Miami High, which I found out is the oldest high school in the county, although you are not the oldest person. Okay, all right, let's clarify that. She is a graduate of the University of Miami, undergrad and law school, and she serves on many, many boards for nonprofit organizations. And I've had the pleasure of serving with her on many of those boards. She loves to give back to the community. She is married, 2 wonderful kids who I knew when they were like knee-high to a grasshopper. But the best part is that we have grandchildren. And that is like the bonus of everything.
Absolutely, Farah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to dissect a very difficult topic and give a lot of information. And I hope the audience has pen, papers, and how to reach you. And you have 2 locations.
I do have 2 locations, one in Coral Gables and one more south in Palmetto Bay.
So that's right down the street from us.
Yes.
So we'll learn more about those. Talk to me, how would you describe your family law practice?
The best way I could describe it is it's a solution-based practice. I've migrated away from litigation as a way for people to end their marriages and have now committed myself to different processes that result in agreements, most of them before any lawsuit is filed. So I call it a solution-based practice, and it helps people put a focus on their transition, on their next steps.
So was it, when you first started this until now, has it really evolved for you? Do you see a difference in the way people are divorcing, separating, disconnecting? I don't know the proper word.
I think divorcing.
Okay.
First, I had to work on myself, and I am part of a practice group, collaborative practice group. And I worked actually with a business coach so I could migrate myself and commit myself away from litigation to a solution-based practice. So I could tell people that are going to be litigating, no, I'm not the right attorney for them, that they can find another attorney that is more appropriate for that. And so I want clients that are committed to resolving their cases in a more peaceful way.
And I read somewhere that you knew you wanted to be an attorney in 8th grade. How does anyone know what they want to be in 8th grade?
Well,
how did that happen?
At Shenandoah Junior High,
okay,
they had a project called Project U, Y-O-U, and we had to pick our careers that we were interested in. And for some reason, that's what I found, and that's what I loved.
Because it was like on top of the A list, you could have been an accountant, an attorney. Let's think how that could probably be.
It was like helping people, it was very idealistic, a way to help people directly. So, and I think I'm back to that because now even though I've been practicing more than 40 years and much of it in the litigation field, now I feel I'm really helping people transition and find better solutions.
And your tagline is "When Family Matters." Can you really speak to that?
Thank you. We know that family always matters, but during difficult times and times of trauma, family matters even more. So what can we do? What processes are there? What can we do for the public to help not further erode and destroy the family when it's going through a divorce? Certainly there's opportunities to make things worse than they are. So by doing dispute resolution, whether it's mediation, collaborative divorce, and we'll talk about that, cooperative divorce, we're helping people identify their goals, find their interests, and what will help them transition to the next part of their life.
And how do you feel children are affected by that? And I know that when the mother and the father have their issue between them, somehow the children in the middle.
It's very difficult. I read a saying once that how people divorce writes the story of their grandchildren's lives. And that really hit me very hard. So I take that seriously. And yes, I think that the fighting and the negativity, even though the parents may think that they're not their children, that they're shielding their children, the children know. whether they're little children or adult children.
So they know more than we give them credit.
They know more than
for.
we give them credit, because we give off so many signals, even though we don't know that we're doing that as adults, that we may not even realize it. And when we're hurt and hurting, we don't always have our defenses up to protect the children from that.
So not only are you an attorney, and you really have to deal with the emotional component for everyone in the family. So you're like a psychologist.
Don't tell the Psychological Association, but I do.
Psychologist,
Yes,
please do not. That's the caveat. Do not listen to what Regina's saying on this part.
But I do call myself an amateur psychologist, because you're right. And I make a note of that on my website. This divorce is an emotional and financial event, and they go together. So we have to be very mindful of that and what people are going through. So they may be fighting over something, but that may only represent an emotional aspect.
Absolutely. So you're both an attorney and a
mediator.
So what is the difference in these roles for both?
An attorney represents a person, a client, advocates for them, even in a dispute resolution format. I'm still the attorney. A mediator is a neutral, and that is the most important word, because the mediator helps both parties, both people, come to their agreement.
So then you can have the wife, the husband, or however that works, and in the same room, as a mediator, you'd be able.
Yes.
You mean things like furniture doesn't fly, glasses don't get.
Not so far, and Zoom has really helped with that, because people are more focused, I find. Although nothing can replace, of course, being together. But it's a self-selecting group, Farah. The people that seek mediation, and I do mediation without lawyers for the most part, although sometimes with lawyers, people that are seeking mediation want to resolve their case. They want to try to do it in a different way. So they are on good behavior most of the time, and that helps them come to their agreement. And when they find themselves slipping, we remind them, and they get back to focus.
And I think, like you said, Zoom, the last 15 months of us being on a lockdown, or however that looks like for every business and organization and people, that really probably changed the topography of how you interface with your client as you mediate.
Definitely. I actually had signed up for Zoom in January of last year.
Oh, you've arrived, the 21st century.
I was thinking that it would be convenient for people, because people work and it's always hard to get off from work. So I was thinking, let me try Zoom for consultations.
And who knew?
And 2 months later, it became really important. So it has allowed people to stay in their individual homes or their offices. It has allowed me to schedule appointments even on a Sunday afternoon or in an evening. It's not a problem, and it's really been helpful. So I hope it'll stay.
So I think we're going to have some sort of virtual combination and in person connectivity. I think we still need that.
Yes.
Even in the situation that you're addressing. Can you also tell how you assist people with premarital agreements? I always thought it was called a prenuptial agreement.
Right. So premarital agreements are actually guided by a statute in Florida and all the case law for all the years. And there's a statute on it. And it's for people who there could be different concerns. It used to be only for the rich and famous, but it's really changed. First of all, if there's minor children, people might be interested in making sure that their children inherit or get what they have from their estate, and maybe not their new spouse.
Do you find that happening with first marriages too, that there is that prenuptial or premarital?
Premarital. I think if there's a family inheritance coming down the way, and the family is usually the one that is requesting the premarital agreement in those situations, and not maybe the bride and groom. There's also businesses. When someone has a business that they've worked hard, whether it's a new business or an old business, they want to protect it in the event of a divorce. And it also addresses, unfortunately, death as well. So
the two terrible Ds.
The Ds. And it also causes premarital agreements also cause people to have conversations about finances that most people getting married never have. And And it's a benefit. And I try to explain that to clients, that you're going to have conversations now that your friends that don't have premarital agreements, they're only going to talk about it after. And that's sometimes more difficult.
And then they have the hostility and the emotions that go along with it. But if you have it up front.
Yes, you've worked through it. As long as it's not too close to the wedding, then it can be negative.
So how far in advance would you say?
That's always my first question, actually, because if something is too close, it's not a good idea legally. So I'm very careful with that. And people should plan. If they know they're going to get married and they're interested in a prenuptial, call the lawyer early on.
That's a really good
so
advice.
That they have time and that they're not negotiating a prenuptial agreement while they're picking the flowers.
Oh, and by the way, that when is it? So you've really covered why it's important, when to do it. I want to get back though to about divorce. And separating. To walk me through the steps of client A comes to you and says, Regina, I need help with this. What do people do if they want to initiate your services and separate? I hate saying the word divorce. I don't know why I have.
And it may not always be divorce. So sometimes, you're right.
Can they go to your office and say, oh my God, I'm still in love with them?
It could be, yes. It could be informational. There could be other reasons that people have. It could be illness, could be addiction, could be different reasons that people have. Some people just want to find out their rights, and I provide a consultation for that. Not a free consultation, but an in-depth, valuable consultation. Either it's been through Zoom lately. So that's the first step, is for people to have information if they're looking for an attorney. But many times people call me and they don't know if they need an attorney or a mediator. And of course,
how do you decide that?
Well, I help them decide, and I'm very careful because I can't be both for one case, right? I can only be the attorney or only the mediator. So I can tell early on what the person may need, and I give options. Mm-hmm. And within the divorce scenario, when I have the consultation or even on the first phone call, I explain the different options, including collaborative divorce, which is something that is developing and is a very important option for people to consider.
Why don't you talk about that? Because we haven't addressed that yet.
Okay.
I would like to invite you to come back, because I know we're going to have lots of information, a lot of comments, and more. So if you
love to. Thank you.
Good. She's coming back. So this will be the first of hopefully many times for you to join me.
So collaborative divorce is actually a process. It's not just that people are doing it collaboratively, which is also good. But it's a formal process. It's part of the Florida statutes now since 2016. Each person has an attorney trained in the collaborative process. And the team can also have a neutral mental health professional that we call a facilitator, not for therapy, but to help the parties move it along. And importantly, a neutral financial professional. So this person is also helping them, but in the financial field. The 4 people are a team, and they work together to help the people make an agreement. The 2 attorneys always are representing their clients. So it is kumbaya, but it can be very difficult.
I would imagine it's an emotional time.
And there are bumps in the road. However, even the biggest bumps in collaborative are smoother than litigation. And that's how we look at it. And we eventually come up with an agreement. If the attorneys cannot bring the parties to agreement, we can never represent them in court. It's part of our agreement.
Well, that's interesting.
So we are committed to only one way. And it really does make the difference. I call it the secret sauce, because the attorney is only in one direction. And I will never say to the other party, okay, you'll see me in court, because he never will, or she never will. So that's a positive. So we try to we're a team, the professionals, and we are supposed to model for the people how to get along, how to resolve problems. So
yes, if there was infighting between the professionals, right, it would be very, very difficult.
And if there is, we take it
aside.
We take it aside.
Absolutely.
So it's really a positive. There's also a very big privacy issue with collaborative divorce. It's a confidential process. We serve snacks instead of going to court and having hearings. We have a schedule of document production, and we request the court, and as part of the agreement, that their agreement and their financial affidavits are not filed with the court at the time of the final judgment. We request that, which is very different. And we've had very positive reaction for that. So privacy for some people is very important.
I would imagine. What other areas of law do you practice? Because you just go for it. And I have to talk about, what is the most important moment for you so far in your career? I have to get to that, because that's really, for me, I like to see, because you love to touch people. I mean, you do that with your nonprofits. You're always willing to jump in and help. And Regina and I go back really, how many years? Probably 15, 20?
Maybe more.
Yeah.
If we started with ages of kids, we'd know.
We both were like 5 years old. And
But you're right. There's it's many years.
So, but tell me about one of the most important moments for you in your career so far that you've really said, aha, that was your aha moment.
I had an aha moment. And it was the moment that I decided to commit myself to this more peaceful way. And it had to do with a particular case that I was driving downtown to court, very contested, very difficult. And I said to myself in the car on the way down, this is the last time I'm going to do this. And it was that moment.
So you had like the clouds open and there
was like a trumpet. There was, yes, because I was on that road, but until that case and that moment, did I really decide? And it's not easy to make that decision, because the instinct, when somebody calls you with difficulty, I've been served with papers, my answer's due. My instinct is to jump in and help.
Did you do that at the beginning, like when you were a freshman?
Always. Until I'd say 5 years ago.
Really?
Always.
So you took it home and everybody else was, having that.
Yeah, I would definitely take it home. And I think good attorneys do take it home, but not let it interfere with their lives. We're human. We're human. And the day we stop thinking about it and taking it home, that's another conversation.
But I think you bring that humanity, and you bring that, I mean, if anybody that knows Regina, she just makes you feel comfortable and you feel safe. And I think that's really part of the process of what needs to happen in these situations.
They don't need more stress. They need reality and truth.
Right.
And to know what they're facing.
Absolutely.
So and depending on the process that the person chooses, whether it's collaborative, we call cooperative divorce, is just when, let's say, one has an attorney, the other one doesn't, and they just want to get it done. Both have attorneys, and I work with the other attorney to create an agreement. Very common and very positive.
That's much better than War of the Roses.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's true.
It's true. It happens. So the good thing about where we are now in Miami-Dade County and in Florida, and really all over the world, because it's a movement. Collaborative is a movement, and doing things a different way, is that we have different options. And Florida has a very important dispute resolution center that governs the mediations in this state, the mediators. We have different practice groups all over the state, and a Florida Association of Collaborative Professionals that is working really hard to make collaborative a primary process, at least for people to consider.
Can we talk about the other areas now? Sure. Now we can talk about the other wheelhouses that you specialize in your practice.
So we talked about the premarital agreements, which are important. Another developing area is postmarital agreements.
Post?
Post.
You mean you still want to have a relationship?
People have every intention to stay married, but one is inheriting property at that moment, and they want to make sure that that's protected. One starts a business, the other one is going to sign on a loan, and they need to figure out, well, what happens if? So
doesn't that, like, I know you were talking about the premarital,
yes.
that, you don't do that when you're going looking for the flowers.
Yes.
But after that person is inherited or a new business, how do you have that conversation when they've been, married for X amount of years?
Very difficult. And again, it's a self-selecting group. Of course, not everyone is going to do that. And some people have no problem taking inheritances and putting it in joint name. That's just part of what they're doing. That's the basis of their marriage. But some people don't have that. If they haven't been married a long time, or they have a little concern about the other person, they're going to say, you know what, let's let's just do this, and then we don't have to talk about it anymore. So postnuptial agreements are really interesting because the people are staying married. And so you don't want to get in between that.
So they're on good terms. They're having a healthy relationship.
Yes.
It's just they don't want the financial part.
One of them is concerned. One has a concern usually. So that's a postnuptial.
So then you wind up having to do some probably psychology on that one too.
And there's usually another attorney, and there should be another attorney in the premarital agreements as well. Another area is step-parent adoptions or adoptions by relatives.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't do third-party adoptions like from agencies or placements, but I do represent people if there's going to be a step-parent adoption or a relative. I recently did a relative adoption of an aunt.
That probably was
one of the most wonderful, amazing
you probably felt
moments.
Verklempt and felling all over the place. Yeah.
And so I would say those are just two other areas, and they're very positive, as you can imagine.
And your humanity is positive,
as you can imagine. I love that.
Talk to me about the ideal client. Who would they be for you?
That's a great question. The ideal client is somebody who himself or herself, and even potentially their spouse, that knows that they're not going to waste their money on a lengthy divorce. They want to protect their children from that difficulty, and they're willing and ready to embark on a more peaceful process, which is not always easy to make that commitment. Some people, until recently, I would say that our society looked at that as weaker.
Interesting.
But it's really stronger. And that's how we have to switch it for people so that they don't feel weak when they're embarking on that, but they really are stronger.
And they're empowering themselves and their partner.
And their children. They're taking a step, and they're not listening to the other people that have been through divorces or family members.
So negative.
Why are you doing that? Why are you letting him or her see the children? They didn't let you. All those types of things should go by the wayside, and only the dispute resolution process should be front and center. So
it makes for a healthier, I would imagine, organic, really better situation for all involved.
Better. And they're going to be with each other. And we always tell our clients this. And in collaborative, we tell our clients that they're going to be with each other hopefully for graduations and weddings and grandchildren and all kinds of special events, birthdays, holidays. So you can pick, it's not going to be easy, but it could be worse. So we picked the better path. It's not perfect, but it's better.
In the time we have left, is there anything else you want to share that we haven't covered that makes you just jump out at you?
Not really. I talked about the phrase that I use and that stays in my mind about how we divorce writes the story of our grandchildren.
Unbelievable.
But Abraham Lincoln was also kind of ahead of his time. And I wrote down a wonderful quote that I keep in mind always: a good settlement is better than a good lawsuit. And that's what I tell people also. So as much as, let's file. No. Try the other way first.
Take a deep breath.
Pull
back.
Think about priorities.
Think about your family.
Correct. So
I don't think you'd want people running to you when they really can do something else. But in the event that they do need your services.
Of course. I mean, we're only there to assist people that have made that decision. And I always ask people, and many of my colleagues do the same. Are you sure that your marriage is over? Have you gotten counseling? Do you want to consider counseling? I even give names of people, counselors, therapists, because of course it's the last resort.
Absolutely. So if someone needs your services,
yes,
how do they reach you?
Excellent. So my website is zelonkerlaw.com.
Zelonkerlaw.com.
ZELONKER law. My email is regina@zelonkerlaw.com.
Wow, that's pretty neat that you're giving your personal email.
That's my email.
Great. And the phone number?
305-804-2450.
So you are okay with people coming in? Or you can do it like a telemedicine through Zoom?
Yes. Right now, I prefer the Zoom, the tele-law, as we call it.
Mhm. I'm sorry, I got,
No, I like that. I just thought of tele-law.
Well, I'm going to coin the phrase.
Yes.
Okay. You got, look, a year ago you got on Zoom. Now look at
Now,
you. You're even coining
like
a phrase.
So we'll see. I'm playing it by ear. So far, the demand is not there to meet in person. People are very comfortable to meet over. I also have clients out of Miami-Dade County,
So you
out of
service,
state,
yeah.
people that either have moved. So it makes it easier. But
you can service them, and they don't need to be in the
They don't
city
need to
with
be
us.
Correct. Then right, exactly right. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I am so happy you came today. I am so glad you're a part of the movement for collaboration. And I hope you come back again and we can continue our conversation, all these other areas that you're focusing on and helping a community. And you're a true leader. And I appreciate you being here with me today.
Thank you, Fara. Thank you so much.
And I want to thank you today for joining us on the Community Voice. And again, thank you to our sponsor, Floridian Furniture. Hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.